Hey African Queen Mo family, how are you doing? I am so happy to be home. Yes, you're right. One of you made a comment and said, hey, I see you're enjoying the Republic. Enjoy and enjoy. Yes, I'm enjoying this Republic. Come and join me. Welcome. Anybody who doubts that I enjoy Kenya, you're joking, man. Who cannot enjoy this place? Yeah, let me enjoy. You know, but today is the day. Hey, did you hear the news, the latest news? I've become now a little canoes. I've become Kameme FM. You know what Kameme is? Kameme is this news channel in Kenya that gives the news. Kameme means the news channel, yeah, in my language. So, basically, I'm sitting out here in the beautiful garden. Can you please come and join me? Those of you who are freezing out there in cold countries, I need to prove to you that the sun is here. How are you doing, African Queen Mo channel subscribers, viewers, and my lovely friends? Hope you're doing well. I am in Kenya. I'm a YouTuber, and I sometimes forget to introduce myself. I'm in this gorgeous environment. You're welcome to come and join me anytime. Come here and stay with me. I'll give you a place to stay, and you'll have a great time. Apart from that, we'll wake up in the morning early and chase the monkeys on the windows. Come with a good camera so that we can, or a good phone, you know, that can take good camera and zoom, so you can go back with all your monkey business pictures, okay? Today, the monkey business in town. The latest. You know, there's this case of a lady called Monica Kimani. Monica Kimani. A lady who was a businesswoman, a young girl, only 28 years old, was working in the Sudan, in South Sudan, and doing business with the Sudanese. Not sure what type of business really, not really sure, but for some reason she got involved with a gentleman called Joseph Irungu, or otherwise known as Joey. That was in 2018 that we heard about her, and we heard about her through some terrible, dubious, and extremely excruciatingly painful circumstances, where we heard about this lovely young woman who was found in her bathtub, decapitated, throat slit, like professionally. This Joey actually had trained in Dubai, and he had actually trained with a group, and he had also been trained by a security company. But I think he had trained in something like close contact or something like that. You know, those people who provide security to very top-notch people. And the judge in this particular case, her name is Honourable Grace Nzioka. She explained in very great detail her decision, you know, and why she decided to take up, how she arrived at her decision. She took into consideration, of course, Kenyan law, and then international treaties, the view of the accused, the view of the family. She tried to put herself, of course, in the views of the, of the victim, you know, and of course, the view of the court. But the judgment that she gave and the way she arrived at it, I felt like she was like a cat. You know, the way cats look at their prey and they go slowly, stealthily in the grass. This woman, I give her, I give her credit. I give her credit. She really did a phenomenal job. You know, a very, very convincing argument, a very well thought through judgment. She brought us into it and explained every single step. She took into consideration the coroner, the doctor, the guards that were, you know, in charge of him, because he's actually been in prison for the past 2 years. He has not been released on bail. He did not get cash bail. And, you know, all those people were asked about his behavior, his church, his family, his mom. Who knows where his dad is? It brought to light this verse in the Bible that says, train up a child in the way he should go, and in the end he shall not depart from it. It's true, yeah, guys? It's true. Train up a child in the way they should go, and in the end they shall not depart from it. It's the truth. The way you train your child, if your eyes are off your kid, especially a boy, yeah, especially a young boy, ladies who are raising boys and young men, please keep your eye on them. Please train them. Don't leave the training of your son to somebody else. And I do not blame the mother in this case. But what I'm saying is, you know, this woman is in complete disbelief. She has said, no, my son did not kill anyone. He did not kill anyone. And really, in the end, all we can do is go with the evidence, and we can go with what has been heard, what has been seen, what is actually been spoken about this person. They've used observation. They've also used third-party evidence. And they've used his own evidence and what he has said himself. And I was also wondering to myself why he was describing the killing as one that must have been done through a fit of madness or rage. Because in a way, I felt like it was kind of self-incriminative evidence that he was giving himself. What did you think, you guys?
Finally, the accused person filed their submissions in form of mitigation dated 10th of March. And I think it's important I take a bit of time in our understanding of what the accused person said, because he is the one on trial. So I will not summarize too much his mitigation, and also for the parties to appreciate that I've taken it into consideration in totality. The accused says that he's aware that nothing he says at this stage will relieve the pain of the deceased family. And he says the lesser he says, the better. He says that he expresses his sadness that such a tragic loss of life on extreme circumstances bordering, and this caught my attention, okay? He says that he expresses his sadness that such a tragic and careless loss of life on extremely circumstances bordering on an act of absolute madness that is beyond understanding, even to him, as he stands there convicted. He says that it is his prayer that the deceased family will find peace and that her soul will rest in eternal peace. He says that he understands the terrible fear and pain that the deceased must have underwent in the hands of the perpetrator, and he cannot even perceive the same. He joins the victim's family by saying that he does appreciate that monetary compensation cannot relieve the pain of the loss of a loved one. The court has been invited by the accused person to note that by the Supreme Court declaring the mandatory nature of death sentence to be unconstitutional, then it opened room and gave this court the discretion to mete out a sentence that is not necessarily death. And the accused then says that in that case, and again, this was very important to the court and for reading, because I come back to it. He says that in that case, it is his prayer that the court can mete out a custodial sentence. He says that although the victim's family in their submissions are calling for a death sentence, but the father of the victim, Bishop Paul Garama, was publicly heard saying that he will not take vengeance. And so, the court should consider his views. Finally, the accused person invited the court to consider that he is a first offender, that he was convicted purely on circumstantial evidence, and the period he has spent in custody. That, in my considered opinion, was the additional evidence given to this court in form of submissions by the parties at the close of the formal trial.
I'm not going to say very much on this matter because, in my view, what I feel about this whole thing is that this week I said, and in fact this month I decided I want to dedicate a lot of my videos towards International Women's Day and celebrating and recognizing women. In this particular case, we had a judge, a female judge of the High Court of Kenya, deliver a very amazing judgment, deliver a very professional judgment, using, something to make the High Court proud in terms of the way that she delivered her judgment, She considered all parties. I felt that she was very balanced. I really did. I felt she was balanced. She was professional, she was balanced, she considered all the evidence, and she also apologized for the amount of time that it took to pass this judgment. Because since 2018, Monica Kimani, the victim's mother, has since suffered a stroke, because of the stress. Monica Kimani's brother also doesn't leave the house apparently. He only works online. He's so affected by the death of his sister, by the brutal murder of his sister, that he has had to live with for the past 6 years, that he has anxiety now. Now they have anxiety, and only the father, I think, has had the privilege of attending any sort of therapy sessions. Murder, like the justice said, Justice Grace Nzioka said, that a murder changes everything. It affects the person, the victim, and also the family and the friends. The year before last now, because now we're in the month of March of 2024, our family lost a sister-in-law to murder. And until today, we are all affected by it. Everybody is affected. Our sister-in-law, it was actually in the news, and I'm sure that, her beloved husband would not mind if I spoke about this. Basically, she was the victim of a murder by a worker in her compound. The way you buy land and you decide, I'm going to do something nice about this land. I'm going to transform this land into something, a business entity. I'm going to do maybe garden weddings and things like that. And she was very good with her hands. And one day she went to check on her land. And I think there was some sort of altercation with the gardener. I think maybe I don't really know about the circumstances, but all I know is that she went to visit the land. She lives in Nairobi, and the land is a little bit outside the outskirts of Nairobi. And the next thing, she was sending a message to her husband that she was dying. Literally, that guy, what he did, ladies, when you go to check on your land, be careful, okay? When you arrive in these places and you have a gardener or worker, if you have a male worker as a lady, you have to be careful. Especially if your male worker is employed directly by you. Guys, I've had to change my location. I hope this one is a little bit better. But what I'm saying is that we lost a family member to murder. And the case is still in court, by the way. Yeah? So this thing has hit home for us. And, she was a lovely woman. A lovely woman. Can you imagine the impact on her family? So she had lost her sister, who was living abroad, and then she herself died. Can you imagine what the mother went through? Losing 2 girls in 1 year. So now just think about this Monica Kimani. We don't really think about the victims. We only think about, those who are accused. I don't think it's fair. I think we should think about all of them. We should think about especially the victim, the person who loses their life. Yeah, we should think about them. I think that we should not be just like so laissez-faire, Laissez-faire is let it be, let it be. No. Life is important. I was talking to my dad a long time ago about this whole issue, about, the murders and what traditional societies used to do with murderers. You know what traditional societies used to do, you people, eh? In African traditional society, if somebody killed someone, you know what happened, eh? They were either excommunicated from the village or they were murdered themselves. Not only were they murdered, but even other members of their families could lose their lives because it was seen as a bad seed, SEED. So there was no need for high fences and gates and electrical fences and CCTV cameras and all that because the villagers themselves were CCTV cameras. Your behavior was regulated by the society. But now, because we have so many mixes of people in society, this is how we end up having these kinds of murders, where these apartment complexes become traps, where homes, because of isolation, become traps, and because neighbors don't talk to one another. Sorry, guys, I'm being eaten by mosquitoes as much as I love this place. Oh, it's because, you know what, it just rained here. So, sorry for that diversion. But, we should be careful and we should definitely support those judges, those justices who are passing such judgments against murderers and people who are criminals, elements in society. All of us, have female members of society. We were all born of women. Yeah, all of us. There's nobody who was born, just came from heaven. All of us were born of women. So women must feel confident, must feel comfortable. And I feel that one person in jail because of murdering a woman, well, that's good, because most likely even if he says that he was a first-time offender, yeah, we are not really sure. Yeah, we don't know. And also we don't know whether they can kill again. Because we know that many people who take life often, and they take life more than once. So if we know that people, we're living amongst murderers as women, if you know that you have somebody around you who is not very safe to be around, watch out for your own security. Okay, so I remember there's one time I was trained when I was working for these multinational organizations. I remember when I was getting ready to travel to, I think it was Somalia, and also when I traveled to Nigeria, I remember that we were drilled on security issues. Security starts with you, ladies and gentlemen. It starts with you. It means that you take account of who is in your presence, who you're hanging around with. You have an idea about their background, their criminal history. Don't be too confident around people. Don't. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that you have to be completely anxious, but it just means just document, watch people. Don't just ignore things. The story is that he actually made a copy of the key for her apartment and found her in the bathtub. So yes, in that particular case, somebody can actually steal your key, make a copy of it, and come into your house. And you're in the bathtub, and what can you do? She was found with her hands tied and her neck slit. So that is somebody who deliberately, intentionally had predetermined to murder her because they had made a copy of the key of the apartment. So we really cannot blame Monica. She definitely had locked her doors. So who has an extra copy of the keys? Once in a while, maybe it's good to change the locks of your apartment. Yeah. Because sometimes I think we women were born with the sixth sense. Yeah. So we know kind of about our security situations. There's some way that, we can kind of tell. I think God did that for us so that knowing that we are the weaker gender in a way physically, that we have to have something else that compensates for us. So now I will leave you with Justice Grace Nzioka's judgment. My goodness, it sounds like a real tongue twister. And you listen for yourself. She's a very competent, very capable criminal. She said she used to work in the criminal justice sector, and you can tell she's a very experienced justice of the High Court, and I'm really proud of her.
The prosecution invites this court to note that on 20th day of September 2018, the deceased Monica Kimani's lifeless body was found inside a bathtub with her throat brutally slit and hands tied. The court is invited to note that the post-mortem report produced by Dr. Peter Ndegwa confirmed that the deceased Monica Kimani died due to severe neck injuries due to a sharp force. The court is being invited to consider that there was serious and grievous harm occasioned to the deceased. The court has been invited to consider that the weapon used was a dangerous weapon and that the offense was an intricate planning. There was intricate planning of the offense. And in capital letters, the court has been invited to note that there was no degree of provocation from the deceased person towards the offender. And finally, the court has been invited to note that after commission of the offense, there was an attempt to conceal the evidence. Not finally, there is one more. The court has been invited to consider that the crime had serious physiological and physical harm to the victim and the family. Based on these factors, the prosecution argues that this court should mete out the sentence as provided for under the law. They have invited this court to note that despite the decision in the case of Muratetu, the only thing that that case did was to declare, and I will put it clearly, that the mandatory, and I will repeat, the mandatory nature of the death sentence is unconstitutional, and that it did not declare the death sentence unconstitutional. And so, without going into other areas of submissions which are reflected in my judgment hearing, the prosecution invited this court to pronounce a death sentence. The victim's family, in their submissions dated 7th of March, drew the court's attention to the sentence provided for the offense of murder, which sentence is stipulated under Section 204, which says that a person convicted of the offense of murder shall suffer death. They led the court through the objectives of sentence, which I've spoken to and therefore I'll not repeat. And they invited the court to take cognizance of the fact that the accused person before the court did not play a peripheral role in the commission of the offense, but he was the main perpetrator of the offense. In that, they are saying that he did not only steal an ID card of a third party, but used it to disguise his identity, changed his clothes and went to the deceased's house and brutally murdered her. They described the murder as being cold-blooded, ghastly, and barbaric.
So today we are highlighting Justice Grace Nzioka's judgment. Justice Grace is in the courts and she's representing, a woman victim of violence and murder. So we need more women in these places. Yeah, we do need more women. It makes a case for the fact that we need more women in positions of authority so that they can make fair judgments on behalf of women. Not that men cannot, but definitely women can do, definitely, for other women, what they need to do for women. So, bless you all of you guys who follow me. I know you're all lovers of women. I know many of you have told me, I love women, I love women. Yeah, I know you all love women. It's very few people who don't like women or who don't like people based on their gender. Very, very few. So when I mention this, please don't feel as a man that I'm probably, picking on you or anything. No. Remember, I'm a mother of a son and I love the young man and I love his friends, yeah? So please, it's not about that. It's just about the importance of ensuring fairness. So please, this is not about bashing men. This is about justice. Justice for all people in society, regardless of gender. This is a love to see, and I'm happy that it happened. I'm happy that finally, after 6 years of waiting, a judgment has been passed that is considered fair by the family. Praise God for that judgment. Thank you very much, guys, for your time. And before I'm totally bitten off, next time I have to actually come and put on some... I have to come and put... These guys are so happy to see me. It's because I'm wearing black trousers. If you wear black, for some reason it attracts the mosquitoes, yeah? So before I get diverted, let me say goodbye. And please remember to subscribe, like, and share. Okay, guys? Thank you very much. To-do. Bye-bye. Kwaherini.